Welcome to this lesson on single letter consonants. This lesson was designed to introduce you to the fundamental skills in single letter consonants. These skills are necessary for elementary school teachers to teach reading. As you review known skills or learn new skills, do the practice activities to help you prepare to teach phonics to elementary students. You will need to know the terms bolded in this lesson. To review, phonics is the study of the relationships between graphemes and phonemes. Phonics produces a pronunciation of a word, not its meaning. The word must be in the reader's oral language to be understood. There are two kinds of sounds in the English language, consonants and vowels. There is, however, a degree of overlap between these categories. Certain letters, notably the Y and W, sometimes function as vowels and other times function as consonants. In this lesson, we will focus on these two letters as consonants. Consonants are, by definition, speech sounds in which the flow of breath is constricted or stopped by the tongue, teeth, lips, or some combination of these. In the American English language, there is not a consistent one-to-one correspondence between letter and phoneme. There are, for our purposes in the teaching of reading, 44 phonemes, 25 of these being consonant phonemes. These 25 consonant phonemes are represented by 18 consonant letters plus certain digraphs. Most single consonants make one regular sound. There are several exceptions. The exceptions are the hard and soft C and G, exceptions for S, miscellaneous exceptions, and consonant clusters. Since there is not a one-to-one correspondence between sounds and letters, it will be helpful to designate a key symbol for each phoneme. In this way, we will know the sound to which we are referring no matter how it is represented in the word. That is, no matter how it is spelled. Different phonics programs designate a different key word for each phoneme. When you are teaching elementary students, it is important for you to be consistent with the curriculum guide, but you can use the keywords in this lesson as additional examples if they are different. There will be one key symbol for each phoneme during the phonics video lessons. Let's practice what we just learned. Pause the lesson to answer the questions before continuing onto the answers. Question: is there a one-to-one correspondence between the consonant letters and the consonant phonemes? No, there is not a one-to-one correspondence between consonant letters and consonant phonemes. For this question, you will need to draw upon what you have learned in the first module with what you have learned in this module. Most key symbols will be single letters. However, 7 of the consonant symbols will be composed of 2 letters called The answer is digraphs. Give yourselves a thumbs up if you got it correct. Now let's delve into the single letter consonants. When teaching the alphabet to young children, you do not teach the alphabet in order, or assume that if they can sing the alphabet song that they know their letters. Likewise, teachers generally teach the consonants and vowel phonemes out of order as well. Pictured here is the order in which we will be discussing the single consonant letters. We will begin with the letters M, Q, R, and V. 4 of the 21 consonant letters are extremely dependable: M, Q, R, and V. When we see these letters in a word, we can be sure it represents the phoneme we associate with its key symbol and the initial sound heard in its key word. In the chart is the letter, its key symbol, its pronunciation, and the key word. From top to bottom, we have V, and K. In the English language, Q is actually an unnecessary letter. Since it is unnecessary, how can we call it dependable? When we see Q, we know it represents a sound we associate with the key symbol K. In other words, Q equals K. We can depend on it. The letter Q has a distinctive characteristic. It is almost always followed by the letter U. This U may be silent or represent the sound of the consonant W. Test yourself. Do you know the answers to the following questions? Question. What key symbol represents R? If you said R, you would be correct. Q is followed by U in English words. The U may be blank, as in antique, or have the sound of the consonant blank, as in quilt. The correct answer for the first blank is silent. The correct answer for the second blank is W. What consonant represents K? In this section, the phoneme K represents the letter Q, while the phoneme K does represent other consonants. We haven't gotten to them yet. Now we will talk about the letters B, H, K, L, and P. The letters B, H, L, and P are very dependable, except for the fact that on occasion they represent no phoneme. From top to bottom in the chart, we have B, H, K, O, and P. Pronounce the phoneme for the letter B out loud. Do the phonemes sound like B or B? It should have sounded like B. Many consonant phonemes cannot be pronounced easily without adding a bit of the vowel sound, usually the schwa sound of Adding an when pronouncing the initial consonant sound will not help students to identify the consonant. Boat is not boat. Keep in mind that some consonant sounds are hard to pronounce and to be careful when demonstrating phonemes with students. Sometimes these consonant letters have no phonemes and are referred to as silent letters. One pattern is very common to almost all consonants. Two like consonants appearing together in a word generally represent one phoneme. The letter B is silent when it follows an M in the same syllable. It is also silent when it precedes the letter T in the same syllable, with a few exceptions.
In Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire, hurricanes hardly ever happen.
The letter H as a single letter has a distinctive characteristic. It is never heard as the final sound in a word or syllable. H is silent when it follows the vowel in a word or syllable. H may even be silent when it appears in the initial consonant or word. There are no clues to tell us whether the initial H represents a phoneme. The letter H is silent when it follows the consonants G, K, and R. Sometimes the letter H is part of a digraph and takes on a new sound. Except when silent, the letter K is a very dependable letter. Let us be sure we understand. There are other graphemes that represent the K phoneme, but when we see the letter K in a word, we can be quite sure that when we hear the word, we will hear the K phoneme. The K is silent at the beginning of a word or syllable when followed by the letter N. While phonics books will not include this, there is one exception to the K before an N is silent rule. The letter L is sometimes silent when followed in the same syllable by M, K, or D. However, this is not a completely dependable pattern. Pronouncing the ul in gold, film, and milk is not a consequence of regional differences. These are true exceptions to the pattern. Next, we turn our attention to the consonant letter P. P as a single consonant is very reliable and says P. Sometimes, however, the letter P has no phoneme. It is usually silent when followed by S, T, or N at the beginning of a word. Examples are psychology, pterodactyl, and pneumonia. Here are some more practice questions. In the following words, what is the silent consonant? It will help you hear the phonemes that are not silent by saying the word out loud. Pause this video lesson to determine the silent letters. How did you do? For blossom, the second S is silent. For dumb, the B is silent. For knob, the K is silent. For doubt, the B is silent. For ghastly, the H is silent. For pollen, the second L is silent. To really test yourself without going back, what rule is being used for the silent letters? How have you done so far? Next, we will discuss the letters D, F, J, N, and Z. Each of these 5 consonants have minor irregularities. Say the word fish out loud. The first phoneme is the sound we associate with the letter F. The letter F in general is a reliable letter. The letter F can represent the phoneme V, as in of. One F in the word effect is not sounded. It is clear that F can be a silent letter. There are other letters that are used to stand for the sound F. These are the digraphs GH and PH, discussed further in the digraphs lesson. Say Jeep out loud. Now pronounce the first phoneme in the word. The J of Jeep is the phoneme for the key symbol J. J is a very reliable letter. There is one exception. Pronounce this word aloud. You see a J, but you do not hear J. Can you determine what key symbol you would use to represent the J in this word? The digraph DG can also represent the J sound, as in judge, knowledge, edge. The letter D is fairly dependable, as in the phoneme D for dog. The letter D may be silent, or say T, or occasionally J. The letter N is very reliable with one common but confusing exception. The letter N by itself can represent the same phoneme as the digraph NG. Examples are the words think, pink, and shrink. Say those words out loud and listen closely. Let me sound out the phonemes in pink. We hear P, E, N, K. The letter N may also be silent. The key symbol Z represents the phoneme heard at the beginning of its keyword zipper. In general, Z is a fairly reliable letter. It may be silent. The Z occasionally stands for the sound represented by the key symbol S, as in quartz, and by the digraph ZH, as in azure. We have noted that the consonants D, F, J, N, and Z have irregularities. Shown here are the irregularities described. Test yourself. Do you know the answers to the following questions? In which words do you hear the same phoneme as that represented by the underlined part of the first word? There are 4 correct answers. They are fine, graph, photo, and off. In which words do you hear the same phoneme as represented by the underlined part of the first word? There are 3 correct answers. They are wedge, soldier, and Roger.